provides for our team, not only for the defense. He's just outstanding guy, outstanding player, right? And he does an outstanding job of motivating the guys and making sure they're locked in, not just on game day. It's what sets him apart. Like Fred is the same way throughout the week. So it's not just on game day for the cameras. He is who he is. He's been consistent, right? For us, consistent leader, steady in his preparation, steady in his performance as well.
Bosa had such an amazing year. Last 3 games, though, only 1 sack, which is not really Bosa-like. What are you seeing from him lately? Are there things you can do to sort of free him up?
Bosa is Bosa. Nothing's changed. Bosa is Bosa. He's still a game wrecker for us. So we're anticipating that he can be there for us on Sunday.
I know you don't want to belabor your head coaching interviews, but how are those conducted? Is that remotely? Do the teams come out this way? How does that go?
Yeah, those all get handled. They're all different. Some are Zoom, some are in person, so those all get handled differently.
I think Pat was asking is today, what is it?
Excuse me?
You have an interview today with the
Yes, I do.
And is that going to be virtual
Yeah,
or is that
that'll be in person. Yeah.
That's good. What are the, I know you're very tight with Rand Carthon, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. What are the Tennessee Titans doing with him as a GM?
I think with Rand, right, the Titans are getting just a dynamic leader. That's what Rand is. Rand has been a fantastic leader since the first day I met him here. Very knowledgeable personnel, college and the pro side. He's a very knowledgeable guy, very well connected, knows a lot of people, knows a lot about football. Right, seen it from a lot of different perspectives with his father being a coach, him being a former player in the NFL as well. So he's seen it on all facets, and he's done a really good job of just scouting, right, really good talent and really helping us to acquire some really good talent here. So I wish Rand nothing but the best. I know he'll do a fantastic job in Tennessee, and I couldn't be more proud for Rand and the work that he's done, and to see him, get the GM job there. It's really really cool to see, and I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, what is the big picture of what the 49ers have done as far as developing head coaching candidates and also GM candidates?
It's just here is just an outstanding organization from top down. Just how things here are done first class. Right, John and Kyle have done an outstanding job of just bringing in the right people, and when you have everybody that comes here, right, everybody's opinion matters, right? Everybody feels like they're a part of what we're doing here, and I think it's the reason why the organization has been so successful, right? It's just built with the right people in mind. You have good people, you can do really good things, and that's what we've done here.
Is there a player, a free agent that you guys have brought in recent years that you remember, working with Rand closely with to kind of bring that player in?
Not right off the bat. I do not. Wish I had one for you. We've talked about a ton of players, whether it's college, pro. So we're always talking about players and this type of player that we're looking for. So,
kind of a broad question, but Kyle gets so much publicity for being a play caller and a play designer. But beyond that, just calling of the play, you've got to be able to teach 11 guys to execute a play and do it during a compacted week. Is there anything you can relay to why he's good at that? Why do the 49ers seem so good at that one particular thing?
well, Kyle is really good at that because of it's the mindset and his approach. He's very detailed in everything that he does. That's why our offense, it's always clicking. It's not just putting in plays just to put them in. It's well thought out. It's well thought out. It's well schemed, and everything about it, from the finest detail to, the motions, the hat placement of the offensive lineman, hat placement of the tight ends when they are blocking, receivers, their track when they're blocked. Everything is well thought out, and that's why he's one of the best play callers in the league. He's not just copying plays from other people, right? He has that very creative mind, and he's always putting his players in position to make plays, and that's what sets him apart from all the other coordinators in the league.
You strike me as a guy who does time management pretty well, so I'm wondering if that's being put to the test ultimately this week with balancing these responsibilities and the other teams that are interested in you.
Yeah, with everything that you do as a coach, is it's a lot of you're trying to crunch a lot of things in. You're trying to, really dissect a lot of information in a certain manner of time. So time management is a very crucial thing to have. And I know how to make the main thing, and the main thing this week is the Cowboys.
Your guys on the 49ers offense, they scored 41 points last week, and
Yeah.
they see things that they can get better at. How's your focus this week as far as that goes on the defensive side? That do you have a laundry list of things that you presented to your players of this can be tightened up even better?
For sure, we're always trying to get better, and that's one thing that's really cool about our defense. Like nobody's just resting on what they've done, or nobody's just satisfied with what we've done. Like I didn't like the way we came out last week. Right, that wasn't representative of who we are. So we can come out better to start the game. We can set the tempo better. We can play with better pad leverage on defense. We can get off of blocks better. We can finish better. So there are always things that we're pushing our guys to be better at. We're not satisfied, right? How can we play our absolute best at the time we need it most? And there's no better time than right now. Playoffs, Cowboys, Niners, our defense has to play their absolute best if we want to move forward. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Chris, when you look at this team you're facing, are there similarities to the team you faced in training camp every day in practice as far as the aggressiveness of that defensive line?
Yeah, very similar. They play very, very hard. They're very quick, like our defensive line is. They're very physical. They've got good edge rushers. They've got good interior players. They're very well coached. They have good scheme. So yeah, it's Dallas is a very, very good football team, very well coached and talented front group of guys to deal with, and they've been a challenge for everybody all season, and they'll be a challenge for us for sure on Sunday.
What stands out about Micah Parsons?
Oh, great athlete. I mean, he's just those guys. There's these guys that when you go to block him, Myles Garrett's another one that comes to mind. Even 90 on their team's the same way, but they're coming at you, and the next thing you know, they make one move, and they move further from, like, when they go inside, they go from here to way over there a lot faster. They move, 2-3 yards at a time. When they just sidestep and swipe you, they're just gone. And some guys do the same move, and they kind of go like me. I'd go from right here to right here, and somebody'd still be blocking me. But when it's them, it's bam, and both are there. And you think you have them, and then all of a sudden they're gone. And that's what it is. He's got this great elusiveness. He still has some power with it. What he's really good at, too, is when he gets into your body, for a guy that isn't a real big and physical player, not that he's overly powerful to push, although he can do it, he's really good when he gets into your body getting off a block. They don't stay blocked. I'd say that's the biggest thing you can say about all of them. They don't stay blocked.
You guys run out the 21 personnel with your 5 main skill guys as you use that. You have a lot of success. I'm wondering, with the amount of guys who kind of can move around and play different positions, what is it like for you guys just designing things and kind of creating offense with those options?
Well, I think that Kyle and Bobby Slowick and all the guys that work with the skill players, they do a great job of interchanging people. I'm a little more, maybe with the fullback and the tight ends, I'll have a little bit of input with that. But we don't need too many cooks in the kitchen. We got a lot of guys to use those guys a lot of different ways, and Kyle's outstanding with his creativity in that way. And there's just a lot of different people we can deploy and do different things. I mean, you think about, I just love, and it was a couple years ago when Kyle and Mike came up with this series where Debo's running the sweep, the one that Ray scored a few weeks ago against Washington. And Christian McCaffrey's like a lead blocker. And we did it with Raheem, we did it with Jeff, we took, everybody did it. We had receivers doing it when we'd play the Rams a couple years ago as well, where it's just all these guys, we just have these guys are just football players, Yes, they're a halfback, yes, they're a fullback, yes, they're a receiver, but they're football players, and they all do what football players do. They run, they catch, they block, they do a lot of different things. We're real fortunate in that way.
That seems like something that requires a lot of buy-in and teaching, and that's been talked about in the past, that you guys do a really good job of showing on tape why receivers and running backs have to block. What do you enjoy about that process of being able to show guys and then seeing that translate on the field?
Oh man, it's When I took the job in Washington in 2010 with Coach Shanahan, on Fridays they said you're in charge of this run meeting that they'd run in Denver for years that Alex Gibbs had run, and it was Alex's chance to kind of make everybody accountable to the running game, from the quarterback to the receivers to the running backs, tight ends, and everybody. And Alex kind of ran the show there, and so it was my turn to do it. And it took me a while to learn exactly what they wanted me to do. But as we learned to do it, it was so enjoyable to say, hey, a receiver didn't do a good job on this play. Instead of just ripping Santana Moss or whoever the receiver might be at that point, it was more of let me show 3 good clips of Santana doing something during the week or during the week before his game, and then building upon that and say, now when we do this, how it all ties together. How every single person from the angle of running back to how the receivers block to the linemen, and they can see it and they get a vision for it, and they all start to buy in that their little piece is why we can have success doing stuff. And it's crazy. It's so much fun to watch the buy-in because it all kind of fits together like a puzzle when it's right. And you've seen, you guys see some of the plays. We're fortunate, again, Dallas could come in here and they're going to get after our butts, and we'll be lucky to get back to line of scrimmage in some way. But I'll tell you what, right now, when you see one like the one that went the other day with Christian for 60-something yards, I mean, it's just cool. It's really cool. When everybody buys in and does what they're supposed to do, sometimes you hit it right. Might have been a bust on their part. It doesn't matter. It still it shows up good, and then everybody says, hey, look, if I do my part, it's not just that. It's a big play. Keeps us on the field, gives everybody a chance, gives a receiver a chance to catch another pass, a runner back to get another run, whatever it is, it all ties together. It's a cool process.
You mentioned that meeting, the run accountability meeting in Washington. Do you have something similar here?
Yeah, so what happened was when I was in Washington, they gave it to me, and I put my spin on it. When Kyle went to Cleveland, he took the meeting over, and he's been doing it since then. I think he did it in Cleveland. I think he did it in Atlanta, and he's doing it now. And when I did the meeting, too, they'd always come to me and say, hey, we love talking about the runs as much as you do, but, boy, it'd be really nice if you could tie in how the play action fits with this or how – and I could, but I'm like, we're about running the ball. We're about knocking the crap out of people and trying to get yards, So when Kyle took it over, it becomes more of a game plan meeting. Whereas on Fridays he's able to do that. When I worked with Kyle and he was the coordinator, Friday or Saturday night he did more of that meeting with the whole offense because he had the offensive meeting as the offensive coordinator. Now because now he's the head coach. He has other things to do on Saturday nights with the team. He's kind of that moving's kicked to Friday. So while it has a run emphasis some weeks, it's more of how the whole tie-in is and how our whole plan and approach is to attacking the team as opposed to just the run game.
Some of your players have talked about when players are called out for doing something good, there is some light ribbing and joking and teasing. But when something goes wrong, they come together to really help that person get better. So what does that say about the chemistry that you guys have built up?
Yeah, our guys stick together real good. And we got a good group of guys that hang together pretty tight. We're real fortunate right now, and yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of ribbing when you get called out good. It's you don't want to get called out good too much, and when it is bad, they do rally around each other. It's a good group. I think that as a lot of good teams that you're on, and we're in a good place in our season right now. But guys like working together to help each other get better. They all see the benefit. They've all pulled together to get this far in the season. So at this point, it doesn't benefit anybody to really be working independently or things like that. Everybody at this point just realizes that if we just keep building and working together, we can do something special.
How well do you know Dan Quinn, and how difficult is it to go against the Dan Quinn defense?
Yeah, I mean, we've been going against Dan personally, for a while, and I don't know him personally like Kyle obviously does because he worked with them, but they do a great job. All those guys that came from Pete, the Seattle system, they play hard, they're disciplined, they're in the right gaps, they know defense, they know how to stop offenses, they know what give you problems. They're just very well coached, and then they're fundamentally sound. That's the thing. I go way back to Tony Dungy, Monty Kiffin, those guys all had some tie-in with Pete, and then these guys, Dan Quinn and Gus Bradley, and those guys, they all are just so fundamentally sound in what they do. And so they know how to stop the run, they know how to play good fundamentals with it, they know how to give you trouble. I mean, things that we saw Seattle do in the weeks previous and how they did us the first 2 times, they did it different. So adjustments during last week's game, all from the very first snap. It's like, oh, why is Al playing like this week? We thought he was going to be playing like that, and what we set up during the week had to change during the course of the game. And some of it we didn't adjust to very well. And they did a great job of coming up with a different way to try to keep us from doing what we want to do.
This one's going to be a little bit more zoomed out, but you've worked with Kyle in multiple spots now. I know that you're kind of zoomed in on the minutia right now in the middle of the playoff run, but he's on his 3rd quarterback this year, putting up the offense is putting up some of its biggest numbers. What is it about Kyle and his system that has been able to kind of perpetuate success from QB to QB to QB to keep it
this, this efficient?
Well, I credit to, you think about when he started coordinating back in Houston. I mean, he was a couple years, 1 or 2 years as a position coach. Next thing you know, he's calling plays. So that was pre-2010 when I met him. So it was a couple years. I don't remember his first year as a coordinator, but he's been calling plays since that time. So we're going on 12, 13, 14, 15 years where it's been his system, his plays, his verbiage, his terminology, and it's built from what he learned from his dad to what he learned from Gary in Houston, Gary Kubiak, and then what he's done since then, which has been outstanding. And so when you own it like that, you can plug and play. You can see where things that you have, things that you've done fit this skill set, or they fit that skill set. Or we had Pierre Garçon in this spot. He had Julio Jones in this spot. Now he has Debo in this. And what's the skill set of these players? When we had Robert Griffin, how we had to adapt to him and make it all work within our offense and still keep the basic tenets of this offense, but yet marry it to the zone read and things like that. So Kyle, to me, I mean, that's why I'll reference him in every time we talk here, I'll reference him because it's his deal. And yet he's managed to always understand. He has such a great grasp on it. I remember we put a play in this year, and it was like I wanted to name it a certain name, and I named it that, and we ran out of practice. He goes, "You can't name it this." I mean, why? Well, that's a formation. I said, Kyle, I haven't heard that formation in 2 years. Yeah, but it's in the book. It's the formation. We can't call it that. We had to change the name. I'm like, okay, it is a formation, and we hadn't used it in a while. And that's the kind of stuff that he has recall that goes back forever. And he's obviously very, very smart and has great recall. So there's just this whole encyclopedia, or this whatever you want to call it, just years and years of it. And that's why he's able to mix and match and understand how it all works. Because when you just have a complete knowledge, 3 of the big plays that we made, okay, the play to Kittle up the sideline against in Mexico that we've had against Arizona, the one Kittle against Washington, and the 75-yarder to Debo. None of those 3 plays were on the game plan. Not one of them. If you've seen the call sheet, right, you've seen it hold up. There's a lot of writing on that, right? He says, no, what they're doing, this is what we're going to call. And he calls something based on what he sees in the game that isn't even on the list. And they're usually big hits and big plays because he just knows what is going to work. And even though we made out a plan for you, like, oh, they're doing this week, so now we go to that. And it's forever. I've been amazed since I worked with him, and I don't stop doing that. It's just how he does it, and it's just his grasp on what he's doing.
I'm assuming that's extremely unique.
What's that?
To call that, sure, that's extremely unique to call a play that's not.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys can do it. I'm always marvel at him because of the timing of it, calling it. There's just a lot that goes into it. Obviously, you can say, hey, the corner is jumping the receiver. We're going to call a double move and throw a touchdown pass. Or there's certain things that everybody, and it happens a lot. It does happen a lot. He's just been he's really, really good at it. And when he does know, and as a result, you've heard us talk before. We've always gotten unscouted looks, things because they really don't want him to know what they're doing. Because if they do, he has a pretty good, grasp on what to go to in his offense and how to do it. So it's a real pleasure for a guy like me to work for him because when you do that, he has such good direction on how he wants you to go. So whether you're a player, whether you're assistant coach, whoever you are, there's tremendous there's a great leadership or direction as here's what you have to do your job. Here's what I need you to do to make this thing work.
Does that encourage you and the other assistants to recommend stuff that's not in the game plan?
No, there's not too much of that. He's gonna. You don't have to. I'm telling you, there's plenty to call. He's just looking. Where's that dagger? Where's that play that I think will really get him on this one? And that's what he's sometimes looking up and doing that. Yeah, can you suggest some things that maybe aren't in there? There's been a couple of those through the year, but it's mostly coming from him.
A lot of offensive linemen in this league. What makes Trent Williams different than most, if not all?
Well, I remember when we drafted Trent in Washington in 2010, I'd coached Jonathan Ogden, who was a Hall of Fame player, Randall McDaniel was a Hall of Fame player, and a bunch of other Pro Bowl players through the course of my career. I've been real fortunate to work with some guys. And when he said, who do you compare Trent Williams to? I said, nobody. And he said, why is that? I said, well, there's nobody that was 6'4" or 5", whatever he is, 320-something pounds, vertical jump through the dome, ran a 40 like he did, all of the explosive movements that he had. I'd never seen a guy that big. I'd seen guys that were smaller have that explosiveness. I've seen guys that were bigger that were as smooth an athlete as he was. But the combination of strength, power, quickness, explosiveness, and then the thing about him, which I didn't know, was his wealth of knowledge, how he's such a good football mind. So those things all combined, wrapped up, make him into just a really special guy to coach. Thanks, guys.
look at the Cowboys' defense, particularly their defensive front, what kind of pops out at you?
Yeah, I feel like they're just talented across the board up front. I think they're well coached. You could tell just with their scheme and everything that they do. There's definitely a plan that they have, and they go at it. And everyone, all 5 of their guys, 4 of their guys, whoever's on the field, they pay attention to detail in the pass rush, which I feel like is a good challenge for us. I feel like we've played a handful of teams that do a good job and are well coached up front, but these guys probably are one of the best at it, and will be one of the best challenges that we see.
Brock, how do you? What's the last 7 weeks been like for you, and how have you kind of stayed grounded through it all?
Yeah, it's just been football, man. I don't try to make it more than it is. I'm a faith-based guy, so that's how I stay grounded. I don't look at football like it's literally everything. It's do or die or anything like that. It's a game, and it's my job for sure, and I take it very seriously. But at the end of the day, I know that I'm not defined by the wins or losses as a person. Like, that's not who I am. I'm not a quarterback. I wasn't born to be a quarterback and play football, and that's it. Like, I have a life and everything like that, and I remember that. But at the same time, man, I'm a competitor. I love to compete. I want to win at all costs, and so I've been enjoying that as well. So that's where I'm at. That's how I stay grounded with it all, but definitely thankful and blessed to be here for sure.
Along those lines, there was a story that after the game you went to a restaurant and received an ovation in the restaurant. Did that occur?
Yeah, I don't know if the whole restaurant, stood up and clapped or anything, but there was definitely people that recognized my family and I walk in. So, yeah, it's cool for me. Like, I just want to enjoy my family and friends after a game. I'm not trying to go out into the public and I'm seeking a celebration or anything for my performance or anything like that. It's cool that Niner Nation is awesome across the board, and out in public they want to show their appreciation for their players and stuff, so I'm very thankful for that. It's cool for my family and I to see that, and just see the support. It's pretty cool, but it's not what I look for or anything like that. It is what it is. So
A lot of notice for Kyle's play design, play calling. It's like a weekly thing that people talk about, but aside from that, if you don't have 11 guys doing the right thing, what you call and how you design it doesn't mean a lot. I'm curious to your observation on what makes Kyle so good at getting you to execute the plays that he calls on a weekly basis. Why do you see, from what your standpoint is?
yeah, I feel like he expects a lot out of us. The way his offense rolls, everything ties together. Even though we're running the ball, the receivers have to do their part outside on the edge. The quarterback has to do his job and carry out his fakes. It takes all 11 guys to do just one play, whether that's a run or a pass. He pays attention to detail on every little thing. He's the one that's installing the plays every single day, which is pretty cool to have your head ball coach be the one that teaches you, what you're running. And so we know that he holds us at that standard. We all hold each other at that standard as well. And everyone just has to do their part in order for us to be successful and to set up plays down the road in the game. So that's how we look at it. Like, every little thing matters. It's not like he's just calling a play. We can go out there and just be better than someone across from us. It's, man, he's calling this play to open up this or that, and the receivers know that. The fullback knows it. The tackles know it. Everyone knows it, and we just got to do our job and do our part to be successful. It's not a one-man show.
Can you see that now? Can you see where he's called a play where you know that it's setting up something for later and you know what it is?
Yeah, I think there's times where he adds things throughout the game, things that we haven't even gone over at practice or that are off script, because he's thinking about things as well. And so he'll tell us, going into half or, for the next drive, he's like, hey, I'm thinking of this. And we're like, dang, that makes sense. And so it's pretty cool to see how he thinks as a coach and everything and how he calls plays, but it definitely takes everybody.
You said your dad has kind of kept you in tune with your whole history of the league with Dan Marino and things like that. What is your kind of level of awareness of this particular rival in terms of playoffs and things like that? What's it like being a part of that?
Yeah, are you talking about just with Cowboys and Niners? Yeah, obviously in the 90s and stuff, they went at it. There's a lot of history. There's a lot of Super Bowls between the two organizations. And so to be a part of it, I'm very thankful. It's pretty cool. It's like, man, you've seen all those highlights and stuff from the 90s and stuff, and now you fast forward to 2023, and here we are, same two teams going at it, fighting for the same thing, which is pretty cool. And I just look at it like, we just want to win. We want to do our part, and all the other stuff will fall into place. It's not like, man, this is going to be some kind of, Netflix documentary or anything like that. I'm not trying to make it bigger than that, but very thankful to be a part of it. The rivalry and everything, and having it come back, obviously, to 2023. So it's going to be a good one.
So have you watched clips of some of those old games before?
I can't really remember specific games or anything, but I've definitely seen highlights and just the two teams go at it and stuff with the names on both teams. Obviously Super Bowl MVPs and Hall of Famers in those games. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Can you describe just what it's like, your pocket awareness? Like, are you seeing like a blur of jersey colors? Are you the mental clock going on how long you have in the pocket? Can you just kind of take us through that part and basically when you know how to escape?
Yeah, I just feel like every play has, a rhythm and timing to it. So for me, it's, I'm going through my reads, obviously, but, if something's not there on time or in rhythm, I know like my, the mental clock is ticking in terms of the pocket's closing, guys are coming around the edge or wherever. I don't drop back and just look at the defensive line and say he's coming here or he's coming there. I don't have time for that. You have to keep your eyes down the field. Obviously to see what the coverage is and all that kind of thing. But I feel like as the play goes on, then I get a sense of, all right, if this isn't here, I can feel the left side closing. I can escape here or here if I need to. But it's definitely not a thing where I go into the play saying, all right, I'm going to escape this way or go that way. I just feel it out as my eyes are downfield for sure.
Success spinning out of the backside of the pocket. It seems like it's a part of your game. Is that something you got to be careful with when there's an athlete like Michael Parsons on the edge? Is that something you think about at all, or is it all instinctual?
I think it is, instinctual, but also at the same time, you got to account for those kind of guys on the defense. With a guy like that, with that kind of caliber, and then obviously the amount of games that I've played. So they obviously see that I've done that, So you sort of just got to keep it all level in terms of, if it closes, I can still go out, but at the same time, I got to know, they probably know I'm, going to go left or whatever it is. So it's always good to know that you're going against guys that, are very athletic like Micah and all those guys up front. So, I think it goes both ways, but you just got to make sure, that they're studying you as well. So.
Offensive lines don't get a lot of attention unless things are going poorly. How have you seen this one be consistent, and what have they done to make your job a little easier? Sorry,
our offensive line?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've done a tremendous job, all season, even before I even got in. And then obviously with me as well, being able to extend plays and whatnot, that happens when, the defense does a good job in covering our guys. But if you look at our pass protection and stuff, those guys have done a great job all year. Both of our tackles, guards, center, they communicate very well. And they give me a pocket to step up in and to make plays and to make my reads. So honestly, I tell them, like, man, I'm sorry if I bounce it too quick because you guys gave me a pocket. So that's something that I need to grow and continue to be better at. But what they've done and how they've been coached by Coach Foerster, man, it's been a blessing for me to be able to grow in terms of trusting the pocket, go through my progressions and things like that. So they're awesome. They're a veteran group. They've played in big games, and they've done very well against, very talented defensive fronts. So it's going to be a good challenge for them this week too.
Speaking of trusting the pocket, the first touchdown last game to Christian, is that a good example of you executing what you want to do? It seemed that you did trust the pocket and you moved within it, not out. Is that kind of a good teach tape moment?
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely something that, Coach Greasy and I have talked about. Being able to step up in the pocket, go through my reads, and then if it's not there, find a lane north and south rather than bouncing everything outside. So I feel like that was a great example of the O-line doing their job. The defense did a great job in terms of covering all of our guys. Christian did a good job of leaking out, and for me to move up in the pocket and then hit Christian, that was definitely something that we had worked on at practice, and it was nice to see it pay off in the game. So.
they first got here, really found it important to find guys who love the game of football. Talked to a lot of your teammates, and that's one of the important things for you. Does that resonate with the success you're having now and throughout the locker room and you personally?
Yeah. I feel like if you come here and look at football like it's a job, which at some parts it is, but if you have that love and that drive to, play this game that you've been playing since you're a kid, I think it helps you and sets yourself up for success because you love it and you're willing to do what it takes to make yourself better, make the people around you better, to win and have that will to win. And that's something that I think I've always had. I love the game. I love competing. I love making a big play and having the crowd go crazy. And there's that thing in me that you just want to win. You want to have all those other guys on the field celebrate with you for doing something good. So whatever that takes, if that's extra studying, extra film hours, extra time in the weight room, whatever. I feel like that's something that a lot of guys on this team have that they're willing to do. And so I'm just another guy that likes to do it as well.
Not having to do too much, and sometimes in college you felt like it was pressure to do it, or you felt that. You had this interception, I'm sure we'll talk about, against TCU your junior year, brought you a lot of unwanted attention. Was that in some ways a sort of transformative moment for you, or where did you take from that?
From that interception?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could just tell I was pressing. There's times where, I've always felt like the play's not dead and that I can always make something out of something. We had two guys come off the edge, I'm pretty sure, and instead of either taking a sack or throwing it away early, I'm getting sacked and I go to throw it to a guy on the opposite side of the field and gets picked, goes the other way. And, yeah, in that moment, it's like, man, you're doing too much. You've put all this unnecessary pressure on yourself to make something happen when it's not there. And so, yeah, that was a point in my career where I definitely had to just, take a step back and be like, man, just do what's asked of you. Don't try to do too much. You're hurting the team when you make those kind of mistakes. So you just got to learn from it and just not press. So, yeah. I do, but I forgot who I was throwing to. Was I throwing to his side or not? I forgot about all that.
Getting out of trouble and not getting sacked.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I had a good couple scrambles in there, so it was fun. Thanks, guys.